What's way more sadistic than it seems? Making your 90-year-old grandma/grandpa with end-stage dementia a full code. CPR and defibrillation are violent and painful. We will break their ribs while doing CPR. Possibly all of them. It's just plain cruel. As a nurse, it is the worst part of my job. Not the dying, not the blood, not the poop, it's the keeping someone alive by force. I understand losing a loved one is painful and horrible, I've been there. But trust me, the kindest thing you could do for them is to let them die peacefully. Agreed. We need to normalize the talk about end-of-life care. We need to be big enough to be clear about how much resuscitation is desired and what quality of life is priority. Family YouTube channels. I don't think there is ever a healthy way to profit off your kids like that. Yes, and the channel that adopted a kiddo from China, I think? Going against all the sage advice they got from lawyers, med profesh etc. They got the kiddo and kiddo needs a lot of support attachment disorder, on autism spectrum. Anywho, she goes on her channel with her husband fake crying fake remorse telling the sad tale of having to rehome their son. My rage is coming on, let me find a link okay, so I hope more than anything that kiddo will get what he needs in a family. And, family channels, they are horrible and exploitative. Edit. I also think foster families who adopt children and return them to child protection services are also reprehensible. Especially when the children and teens are returned to the system because of behavioral issues. Web link. Rehomed him. Like he's a effing dog. F those people. Peeing all over the public toilet seat. You know someone will desperately need to poop and now you force them into a terrible decision. I was so sick of cleaning other women's piss. Just to sit. They're frickin' animals. Now with COVID, people seem tidier. Lamau, I walked into the bathroom at work on 2 different days last week and there was poop smeared on the toilet seat. 2 different poops. I've seen a brown hand smear on the lid of the toilet before and on 2 separate occasions at separate locations, I've seen poop on the ceiling. No idea how it got there. I hope they did a handstand and shot it out like a cannon instead of fishing it out and flinging it. Or maybe they just squeezed it out so hard that it ricocheted out of the bowl and hit the ceiling. This is what gets me. For real, how hard do you have to crap to hit the ceiling? I can't imagine someone could readily survive a movement with that much force. Effin' iron colon over here putting holes in the light fixtures. Now the ones with poor hygiene habits are dead now. Dude. Early COVID, like when it first started, my mom was in a public bathroom washing her hands. An even older lady comes out of stall and just walks right out the door, then the door opens and the old lady comes back in and says, "Oh, we have to wash our hands now, don't we?" No miss, we've always had to wash our hands. I'm glad you're finally joining us. Scary or humiliating pranks or public shaming for punishment of young children. I hate it when people are mean to kids, anyone, really, but 1000%, kids, and call it in good fun. If the target isn't having fun, it's not fun. It's just sadistic and mean-spirited. Yes. My mom used to tease me and make fun of me for things to no end growing up because you have to learn to laugh at yourself. Yay, it kind of doesn't work exactly like that. It can absolutely be valuable to not take things too seriously. But to be able to do that in a healthy, balanced way, you need to actually be built up, not just torn down. You just spilled a little bit of juice on your outfit. Huh. That's no big deal, we can roll with this. Someone just made fun of you and hurt your feelings? Yeah, words can hurt. It's okay if you don't think it's funny and want/need reassurance. This exactly. My mom used to playfully tease me about things, but if they legitimately made me upset, she would stop, apologize, and never do it again. She also always made it a point to make sure I knew I was a good, beautiful person and to always do what makes me happy so long as I'm not hurting anyone. There's certain ways to teach your kids these kinds of lessons without being a giant butthole about it. I don't think actual pranks even exist anymore. Nowadays, people just film themselves doing horrible things to others, and then saying, "Chill bro, it's just a prank." The pranking trend with social media really ruined it. Googly eyes everywhere. Harmless and fun. Making someone else debug your code. With no comments. In a language they haven't used in at least 3 years. Flashbacks to last job intensifies. With variables having names that make no sense like I, J, K. With variables using I, and L. / loop. I once had a senior developer use 2-letter variables to hold numbers. Okay, now var MB is up to 6 and RF is 3 when it crashes. F. Requiring you to get an auto inspection at a place that also does auto repairs. The inspector has literally every incentive to not pass your vehicle on the first go. Mandatory state inspections ought to be done by state inspectors that don't really have a financial stake in whether you pass or fail. Mandatory state inspections ought to be done by state inspectors that don't really have a financial stake in whether you pass or fail. This is how it works in Northern Ireland and is the only part of the UK where that is the case. It goes back to the days of the Troubles when garage owners might be doing bad things to vehicles, or are encouraged to pass vehicles that really should fail, etc. Putting all the test centres in government hands declog much of that. In the rest of the UK, council, county and city, garages that maintain vehicle fleets will almost always do their own MOs, and, by law, anyone licensed to perform MOs must offer them to the public. If you call and make an appointment, they can usually fit you in and have no incentive to fail you. In fact, given that you have a right to a retest within 7 days, at a time that might not be convenient to their workload, they actually have a slight incentive to not have you come back. It can sometimes take a little work to find out how to make an appointment. I had to hunt down a vague address in an industrial estate and write down the phone number from a sign by the door, but you won't be the only one who does it, so they know the procedure. Don't expect a comfortable waiting room though. Some places do that. Massachusetts has both DMV testing sites and accredited garages. You'll wait in a long line at the DMV place, but you won't get ripped off. See, I have this crazy idea that anything the government requires you to ought to be free. If you have to pay to not break the law, then we've made being poor illegal. Edit, I know nothing's technically free. You know what I mean, please stop. Medical residencies. Institution mandates years of working 80+ hours a week and being paid the equivalent of a minimum wage hourly. The merit for experience is sound, but these residents are being paid crap while the patients are still being charged the full rate. It's an absolute profit machine. Then, once the residents are experienced enough, they're punted off and a new herd is brought in to exploit. Bonus points for Stockholming the new herd into thinking they learned so much from having to stay awake for so long and operating on people with the functional capabilities of a drunk person, and then looking down their nose at anyone who think they can be a competent medical professional without licking the butthole of the attending. This is the worst of it all. Doctors are taught and will remain convinced their whole lives that they can totally function on a 100% capacity while sleep deprived. Class pets, especially rodents. They're almost never given appropriate care, they're put in unsuitable cages. Think of all the class hamsters that get stuck and die in those colorful plastic tunnels, and they rarely live anything resembling their full lifespan. If class pets are meant to teach kids about responsibility, teach them the proper requirements instead of subjecting the poor animals to awful conditions and the stress of little kids trying to grab and pet them. I totally agree. My kindergarten had an alternative approach that I think was actually fairly beneficial. We had a stuffed panda, our mascot, and each week, a new student would bring him home and document what they did with him, write a little diary entry, and take pictures for the class photo album. This gave the kids that lesson in responsibility, obviously not the same as a real animal, but we all took it very seriously, but without putting an innocent animal into a harmful situation. I wish more schools would do away with the class pets and opt for something similar to what we had. Yes. My class did this, but with a koala. We took it home for a week, and at the end, we got a tiny copy of it to keep. I forgot about that until now, thanks for bringing back the memory. See, the only class pets I ever had in my school was a colony of painted lady butterflies we released after they were full butterflies. It was super awesome watching them fly around outside after we left them go. And bugs are particularly low maintenance when it comes to taking care of them. In the right circumstances, they can be okay, but that's rare. My high school had 2 hedgehogs that were the bio class pets. The school wanted to get a class pets and bio teacher volunteered but has really strict requirements and he got to choose the animal. They wrote out a legal contract about it with him and in end, it was basically he owned them and would be take them home on weekends, holidays and over the summer, but during the school days, they lived in this epic enclosure that the shop class built in one of the theory cabinets. That's a great way to do it. I'm glad when teachers take it very seriously. He definitely did. Though now looking back, it kind of feels like he managed to con the school into subsidizing a pet for him. Lol. Maybe, but at least the pet's got a hopefully good life with someone so serious. Not letting kids leave class when they need the bathroom. My parents told me when I was a kid that if I had to go to the bathroom and a teacher wouldn't let me, to just ignore them and go. Only did it a couple times and nothing bad happened. That's what I was told after I peed my pants in elementary school. When my kids started school, I told them the same thing. When I was 6 I sharted in class because my teacher was a giant vagina with control issues. Same. A full-on baby turd in my pants for the whole day because I hadn't signed my name on my art project, I'd simply forgotten, and my teacher didn't let me go to the bathroom as punishment. I was 7. WTF. Bathrooms and food are never to be withheld as punishment. What an incredibly unpleasant person. Yeah, I don't know where this started, but F whoever started it, lol. Not a fan of others restricting people's goddamn bodily functions. Happens in the job world too, only instead of not being allowed to use the restroom, people sit there with a stupid effing look on their face and act like you're some kind of effing alien for having to take a crap longer than 2 effing seconds, and it's effing dumb. Extra fun if you're a girl past a certain point in your life and they tell you to just hold it because yeah, that totally works, we just do it randomly for a week for shiggles. One time in 8th grade, we had a male teacher for history class. At the beginning of each quarter or semester or whatever, we were assigned a certain number of bathrooms passes. One day a girl in my class asked to go to the bathroom. Teacher asked for a pass but she had used all of hers. He told her to wait until the bell rung. She argued with him for a while and then screamed, "I'm bleeding out of my vagina," and stormed out. Teacher looked bewildered but said nothing. He never made us use bathroom passes again after that. Well, that's a surprisingly happy ending to the story. The somewhat milder version is making them play word games to do it. Can I go to the bathroom? I don't know, can you? Or in foreign language, class where you have to ask permission in that language, and are chastised in front of the class if you don't ask correctly. Ich habe to take an einem massive crap edit. I just love how I pissed off every German and Gerwoman on Reddit. And got awarded for it. Around 4th grade, I was in a French class and one of my classmates needed to vacate quickly, but the teacher tried to pull that in French please crap. His response was 2s barfy and dashing out. Should have hurled on the teacher's desk. I didn't puke on my teacher's desk, just mine. I went to Catholic school. In 5th grade we had a tiny, elderly woman I would easily describe as evil. She hated children. Midway through the day, I started to feel queasy and timidly raised my chubby little arm, feeling it coming. I'd interrupted her lesson, big mistake. Yes, Mr. Sightlab, what's so important? With fire in her beady little eyes. I need to use the restroom please, I said, following the demanded protocol. Stand, she commanded, and I did, seemingly upsetting my deteriorating stomach. She walked over, angry. We do our business when we are allowed, she said severely. Continue to stand. Class, do we just do whatever we want whenever we want? No one dared say a thing. The vomit erupted into my mouth and just kind of glopped out. I had to clean off my desk before I was sent to the principal's office. We all hated that woman. When I was in college, the instructors expected us to ask to use the bathroom. I straight up told them on 24, I don't need your permission. I tell my students, you're legally adults now. Just go. Just don't cause a distraction on your way out and back in. This reminds me of back when I was in elementary school. I went to the bathroom and did a pee, then went back to class. Shortly after I needed to do a poo, so I asked to go to the bathroom again. Teacher said I just went and I was lying to get out of class. This was the first time in my life someone accused me of lying, and it hurt. Just had to hold it in until enough time had passed that I was allowed to go to the bathroom again. Tickling. Especially when you tell them to stop and they don't. There was a Reddit thread a while ago talking about the most effed up thing you saw happening at a friend's house as a kid. One story that didn't get much attention was a kid had gone over to the new neighbor's house for a play date. The dad came into the room, tickled his daughter, 8-year-old I think, non-stop until she peed herself. He then got up and left, leaving the girl super embarrassed in front of her new friend. That crap disturbed the F out of me. My abuser used to do that to me in the years before he molested me. My mom thought it was funny, until it really wasn't. Now whenever my kids and I have a tickle fight, we're super strict about listening when somebody says no. It's treated very seriously. Yes. It can be a form of torture. It has been used as torture before, usually on people that were too high-ranking to be tortured with pain, like nobles. Welp. Now I'm going to have to research tickle torture because my brain has decided it's going to be my hyperfixation of the day. Be careful, it's also a fetish and there are some interesting videos too. I can't remember what it's called, but there is some weird documentary about tickle wrestling competitions? Or something similar. Strangely, tickling is how I realized I'm weird lol. As a kid someone, I don't even remember who, was tickling me as a form of teasing/bullying, and it suddenly hit me, I can decide if it tickles or not. And I just shut it off. Instantly boom, it was just fingers in my rib cage. Like knock it off, that's annoying. But it didn't tickle. And I also realized I could decide to stop hiccuping. I'll hiccup once, and then turn it off and it's done. Coughing too, although that can be painful, so I usually just allow it to continue until whatever the irritant is gets dislodged. Bro, watch out for any mails from a man called Xavier. Nice try Magneto, but I can't be tickled. Tickling kids is a great way to teach them a lesson in consent. When they tell you to stop, you stop, and tell them that you stop because you respect them and their right to make decisions about their own body. With enough reinforcement, you'll raise a kid who values consent and respects other people. My aunt. Wouldn't stop until you passed out. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.